Okay, you're on. Go.
We're on. Amazing. Gebruchen Rabbi. That's one that a lot of important achsanias here to start off with. I'm looking forward to the kvod achsania of the rabbi. Let me start with the rabbi. The rabbi's grandfather was my first boss in Kiruv. The rabbi's grandfather was David Smith in London, and he was the chief rabbi of Lithuania. Remember that? So when the Soviet Union fell apart in 1991, glasnost and perestroika, he was during Reagan, whatever. So there was a whole tumult. I was in Lakewood, I was a bacher, and it was like a winter's man. I was always looking for something to do in a winter's man to break up the Zman. So there was a whole tumult, the Soviet Union just collapsed. I grew up in the Cold War. Like we used to, demonstrations, let my people go. We knew, that was my childhood, was the Iron Curtain. And the idea of the Soviet Union falling apart was crazy, it was unheard of. And there was a big tumult in Yeshiva when it fell, and they were saying, we got to send people in there yesterday. Like right now, it fell. There was no government. The government ended the USSR, but January 1st was going to be a new government, the CIS, the Commonwealth of Independent States. I don't know how it actually played out, but that was what the plan was. And they said they got to send guys into there before they change their mind. Officially, there's no government to teach Torah. So there was an organization called Valad Sosman Yisrael, and they were sending. The problem was that it was dangerous. No one knew. Everyone thought the Russians were going to invade every republic, every one that separated, that broke off. So the Koil guys, their wives didn't want them to go. The Bachram, their mothers didn't. Everyone was saying, wait till January 1st. It's just 2 months. In 2 months, it'll be normal. You'll be able to go. They would say that in 2 months, maybe the rules will change. Maybe it'll revert. Go get in now. So Rabbi Valad Sosman Yisrael was taking care of a lot of cities, trying to find people to go to Moscow and go to different cities. Rabbi Smith came to Lakewood. He was in charge of Lithuania, so he needed a shliach, somebody young who could do crazy things and go to. But there was no one to go. It was very dangerous. Nobody wanted to go. I was having a hard winter's man, so I didn't care how dangerous it was. It was like, so I said, sign me up. I didn't even know what it meant. So I was the Skan chief rabbi of Lithuania for a while. I opened the Yeshivas Hagura, the Vilna, and it was the best time of my life. It changed my life. I never went back to the real. I've been doing kiruv since then, all those years. But I worked for David Smith, and he started me off. And Baruch Hashem, I have Talmidim here. It's all close to your grandfather who started me off in kiruv, and it's a long time ago. Yeah, it's one time I had crazy stories in those days. I was the only, there was nothing there. There was no food. It was a terrible time. There was no food. There was nothing. It was. I brought a lot of food from America for myself, tuna and stuff. But
vodka, you got plenty.
Vodka. So that's the only thing I knew that was kosher was stolichnaya. So that's what we drank. We drank stoli and we ate potatoes. 3 meals. I brought food for myself, but the boys in the yeshiva. I opened the yeshiva and. Students came, college students. It was during break. It was college break, so they all came. I had 20 students, a couple of professors who showed up. But they wanted to keep kosher after the week. They were keeping Shabbos. They were sleeping on my floor. So I used my food for everybody for Shabbos. On Shabbos, we each had a piece of vacuum-packed salami. It was different hasagas in those days. And a little, we shared cans of tuna. And I brought pitas for lechem mishnah, because I knew they would last. So my lechem mishnah was 2 pitas. Sahara, like some cheap bread or whatever. That's what we lived on. And during the week, whatever we could buy, we literally ate potatoes 3 meals a day. I didn't know how to kasher. I didn't know. I was a bacher. I didn't know anything. I didn't know halacha. I didn't know how to kasher a bakery. So we found potatoes, onions, eggs. That's what we lived on for months. On Shabbos we had salami slices. Okay, let's talk some Torah. Now, Carrie over here, Rabbi Kalman. As long as I'm doing kiruv, he was the asking. Everywhere. I remember going, I worked for Gateways for some years. Every time I opened the Gateways office, every piece of furniture was from Kalman's furniture. There's a Kalman's this, a Kalman that, and remember those days? Everywhere. Literally, everyone knows it wherever you go. He's a Rosh Hashanah for every holy thing, and he's never happy. He has to, there's one neshama that can be lit up, He's got the blowtorch. So Mitzvah Hashem, the Baruch Hashem should give you the Medlichkeit to continue to, and everything, Breslov, everything. There's nothing. He's the least biased person. If you're selling Yiddishkeit and you're bringing people to the Rabbi Shalom, my house is your house. There's nothing like that. That's the biggest nachas rach. And then I got to meet Ray Friedman over here. Ray Friedman, we discovered that I knew I liked him from very first off the bat. And we just figured out that we went to Long Beach. We're both the same yeshivas, and there's a certain excitement that you see in someone when they come to a town to build Torah. It's an amazing thing, and you're bringing in the right speakers for Hashem. So he knows what he's doing, and the Rebbe should continue to give you siyat d'shmaya and connect you with the right people, and you should be a pride to Long Beach. All right, my boss is here also, Mikey. I'm the rabbi in the old here. I live in Lakewood. I commute every other Shabbos, and my cousin, Mr. Jacoby, he's like the original founder of Hollywood Torah. So I'm very hooked up. We're cousins. It's not a very big family, and he was always the pride of the family. We always knew we had in the Hollywood. He started Aish, and we always spoke about it. And okay, it's great. I haven't had a personal cash with everybody here, but I have to give a share. So one of my best talmidim I ever had going back to Albany 100 years ago. Okay, let's talk some Torah. So how much time do we really start? I'm gonna go. And, when you have to leave, you leave. So it's true. It's like this. You can talk about anything you want. So I have a very interesting share. It's a little bit one of those. There's a certain share about whiplash. You give a whole share on one nakuda, and it sounds amazing, and then you pull the rug out, and everything turns upside down. It's a very exciting thing like that. So I want to build. I don't want anyone to get whiplash. So I'm telling you in advance. Everything I'm telling you in the beginning, don't get too invested, because I'm gonna pull the rug out, and we're gonna switch it all around in the end. But in the end they'll both be true. Maybe we'll see. So I'll start with maybe it's a gimmicky thing, but the lesson is mind-blowing. The gimmicky thing is many speakers, Koyish speakers, from speakers. There's a vehicle that many of them use to make an interesting point, and that is that you ever heard the idea that Eskimos have 30 words for snow? Right? The Eskimos have a lot of, what's the idea? The idea is that when something's central to a culture, you need to have a lot of words. If your house is snow, and your drapes are snow, and your highway snow, and your roof is snow, so you have to know, is this roof snow, bedroom snow, kitchen snow, bathroom snow, what kind of snow is it? You need a lot of nuanced words for snow. The idea of this vehicle is that what it's saying is that you have a very good non-biased way to figure out what a culture is about. If I go to any culture, I say, what's your city about? What's your shul about? What's your nation about? So everybody becomes a spin doctor. We're about justice and peace, love and kindness. We're about chesed, Torah, abdullah, whatever. Everybody, how do you know the truth? So here you have an amazing vehicle. What you do is you just open their dictionary, and you look which word has the most synonyms. The words with the most synonyms are the thing in that culture that needed the most development. And it's a good hint that this is what's important to them. Like the French have a crazy amount of words for love. The Irish, you can Google this, have 150 words for drunk. That's their thing. What's the thing in America we have the most synonyms for? What would you say?
Burgers.
Burgers, really? Money. How many words are there for money? It's endless. Right? Bread, green, dough, whatever. It's no end. But based on this principle, that you have a non-biased way with no spin to figure out what a culture is about. So what do you think Judaism is about? What is the word in Lashon HaKodesh with the most synonyms, without spin? Non-biased, most honest way. Happiness. So I heard of different speakers. I've heard speakers use the whole Eskimo thing, and they say simcha. Because I actually have a shir on it, the 10 different words for simcha. What's the subtleties? What's the difference between sasan and simcha, gila, rina, ditza, chedva? There's many words for simcha. So that's a very good answer. There's 10 words of simcha. Rav Pinkus does a shir, he mentions the snow, and he says tefillah. He has a stronger tefillah. There's 10 words for tefillah. But I was working on a different shir, I was working on a shir years ago to speak on. It was called, I did a shir in Project Inspire. It was called Narishkeit or Necessity. Does the mainstream film world need breast love? That was the shir. Everybody was intrigued. We got breast love taking over the world. So I did a shir. So Jews, I owe a lot to guys. It wasn't just I was doing research. I'm a halva breast lover myself. By the way, I'm going to say this because I made up a title for Shavuos night that no one's going to chop in the hotel. I think here you'll chop, so I can say it here because I put the title in even though no one will know because I enjoy a good title. So I'll tell you my title. My title is, you have to see it in writing. It's Naseh v'nishma shema shema shema. Shavuos with breast love and brisk. Naseh and nishma is the briskas do shema shema shema. Two different stutterings. There's the breast love stuttering and the briska stuttering, the OCD stuttering and the so it's naseh with nishma shema shema. Shavuos with breast love and brisk. That's my first shit. If anybody wants to walk over at 12 o'clock tomorrow night. But I was doing a shir on breast love and I found another word that not only is it more than 10, so this is the real number one, but it's so much more than 10 that it's actually more than both of them combined. More words than simcha and tefillah combined. There's at least 25 synonyms. So this word is far and away the most important thing in Judaism. With this non-biased barometer, no spin. Open the dictionary, which word has the most words? There's 2 words with 10 and 1 word with 25. Far and away, number one. That's my drum. One more drum roll. When I tell you the word, it's going to blow your mind because we learn new things in life. Everyone learns it. But very rarely at this age, when we're grown-ups, do we learn something 180 degrees the opposite of everything we thought. When I tell you this word, you're going to be shocked because not only don't we think it's the most important thing in the world, we think it's the worst thing in Yiddishkeit. And I'm saying the thing that's the worst thing you think is the worst thing in Yiddishkeit, in the end, is really the best, the most, with the non-biased measurements, the most important word in Yiddishkeit. That'd be impressive if I pull that off. What is it? What's this word? That's my hint. 25 words for a word that you think everyone thinks is the worst. Or top 3 worst things. That's a good hint. Top 3 worst things. Think of that hint. Okay? And the truth is, not only is it not top 3 worst things, it is number 1 of the holiest thing in the universe. What's the answer? Taiva. Taiva? Taiva. We think Taiva is the worst thing. I said the worst 3. Kina Taiva Kavod. But Taiva is, desire is the whole, there are 25 words at least for desire in Lashon HaKodesh. Taiva, Cheshek, Chenda, Tshuka, Rotzen, She'ifa, Kivu, Yachil, Homu Meyai, Tzom L'cha Nafshi, Kam L'cha B'sar, Nafshi L'cha Orga, Tzom Nichsefa, Kolsa, Esrog is Meragig,
Eva the Moshe
Eva, right? Avoye Levos. There's not a page in Tehillim without another word for desire. Desire is the Yetzer Tov. It's, and now you're thinking, no, there's good desire and there's bad desire. I want a taina that there's no, all desire is holy. There's nowhere in the Torah where desire is a bad thing. In Chazal, they use the word taiva sometimes, but in the Torah, you could be you'll hear, whatever. I don't want to get too hung up on taiva, but I'll tell you where I'm coming from. I do this when I usually I don't talk about this, I talk to Machamchem. And we call a kid who's doing something wrong about taiva. Taiva. It's the biggest mistake in the world. Taiva is only holy. When someone does an avera, it is never from taiva. What's an avera? Think about it. You go with pick an avera. Pick an avera.
Pick your favorite avera.
You know, I don't know. You go to any town. I don't know what you have. You have a 7-Eleven, a pizza shop, Motzei Shabbos. Where's all the kids hanging out? You know, whatever it is. So you go there. The kids who are hanging out in Lakewood, in front of J2. The kids, little kids, you know, those. Why are they there? They're there because they're Bali Taiva. It's exactly the opposite. When you were 8 years old, you were a dreamer. You were on fire. You wanted to slay a dragon and get a bas melech. You jumped off the couch with a towel tied around your neck. You were going to save the world. You dressed up on Purim with something, a gun, a sword, or a cape. And the girls dressed up, they're all princesses. Everyone starts off on fire. And then things happen and we get crushed. And we don't believe that any of those dreams will come true. So now I have to hide. I have to run away from all my dreams. All of our averos are not taivas. They're the loss of your desire. Your desire was crushed. And now you're living in the crumbs of what's left over. Test it in your mind. There are no averos that come from taiva. Every avera is the opposite. Is I lost my taiva. The way to recover, the way to help someone who's a bal avera to recover is you got to fan his fire again. You have to recover his longing, his yearning. It's a big chiddush. Test me. Try me. You can't be accepting it so easy. Can you think of anybody dreamt of becoming a millionaire because I stole money, because I cheated? You wanted to hit it out of the park. You don't believe it's going to happen. Now you have to take shortcuts. All averos are shortcuts. Shortcuts don't come from desire. So shortcuts come from the need. I don't want to spend too much time on this introduction, but I'll tell you, I spent most of my life on campus. This you heard probably. My first year on any campus, I would go to a new campus. So the room, when I walk in the room the first time, the people are only there because someone brought free pizza. So I have 3 minutes to capture their interest. That's what you have. They're eating their pizza, you have about 3 minutes. So here is, I've said this thousands of times. Every time I go somewhere new, my first 3 minutes, my first 1 minute, this is what I say. I say to the kids, I go like, enjoying the pizza? You guys think that I'm here. Why do you think I'm here? You think I'm here to tell you to stop going to clubs. That's why rabbis come to campus. Religious people come to campus to tell you to stop going to clubs. So I want to be honest with you. You know why I'm here? To tell you to stop going to clubs. That's exactly why I'm here. No bait and switch. Why do I have to tell you this if you know already? Because you have a total misunderstanding of why we're telling this to you. If I would ask anyone, why do you think rabbis say don't go to clubs? So you'll say because it's too much hedonism, it's too much taiva, it's too much... You should be more spiritual than physical. You should be more about your neshama than your guf. You should be more about Olam Haba than Olam Haza. Don't be so much partier, be more serious, be more in the zone, don't be so don't laugh so much, don't be so loose, and that's what people think. I said, that's the biggest lie in the world. This is why I have to tell you this. You know why rabbis say don't go to clubs? The entire Judaism only has one program. It wants you to dream. It wants you to have joy. That's the purpose of the Bria, is simcha, is joy, vibing. That's what Hashem wanted. So why we tell you don't go to clubs? Because of the biggest secret in the universe. So the secret is that nobody ever went to a club to be happy. The only reason people go to clubs is because every year they get darker and louder. A club is where you go to hide from all the dreams you had when you were 10 before you got broken. That's what a club is. In the dark and the loud, all of your dreams are silenced. And for a few hours you have calm. And then when you leave, all the dreams come back and cause you tsar. This is why we tell you, I'm here to sing. You're 18 years old. You have no right to give up on all your dreams. You didn't even start living yet. You get a second win. Let's put you back together again. So this year is the wholeness and the holiness of the broken tablets. I want to start from this place. I believe that the Yetzer Tov is dreams. The Yetzer Tov is desire, chemda, cheshek, rotzoin, tshuka, nafshi. There's words for desire that you can't even say without using your hands. Like how do you explain nichsava, kalsa? Like I'm being erased from yearning. It's unbelievable. Yiddishkeit is desire. It is hunger, fire, and everyone, my summary of all of Jewish history is the Rebbe Shalom created a Gan. This is the Gan. Hollywood's not a Gan. Miami, Israel, Florida's not a Gan. America's not a Gan. Earth is a Gan. This is the Gan. This is the most amazing Gan in the world. And me and you were Adam and Chava. And Hashem created us with one goal. What's the goal? That we should be dancing barefoot in His Gan. Singing in His Gan, thinking, learning Torah, understanding, having a lot of kids in matching clothing, singing Zmiras, eating. The Gan. We're supposed to be dancing in the Gan. Instead, you know what happens? Adam and Chava. We're Adam and Chava. Adam and Chava end up doing things they're ashamed of, and they end up hiding in the bushes. And that's what every subsequent Adam and Chava does. We're all hiding in the bushes. That's where the Torah starts. Adam and Chava, Echadei, they're hiding in the bush. Hashem starts off with Ayeka, where are you? The entire Torah is one program. How do I get Adam and Chava out of the bushes back in the garden? That's the program. How do I repair broken tablets? How do I repair a broken person? How do I recover fire after it's been crushed? How do I bring you back into the Ur once you're running into the dark and the loud? This is the story of the Bria. So I want to start like this. Let's start with the story of Yosef HaTzadik. Yosef. So Yaakov works 14 years to marry Leah, Rachel. Rachel is it's the greatest Av probably in history, the Av of Yaakov and Rachel. He worked for this wife, and finally they get married, she can't have kids, and then finally Yosef is born. So it's understandable the Av that Yaakov has to Yosef. There's no love like Yaakov. He's the Ben Zekunim, he makes him his concern as Pasam, but it doesn't go over so good with the rest of the Mishpacha. Let's analyze the story quickly. A few psukim. Yisrael lo habes Yosef mikol banav ki ben zekunim holei. Vayikanu vayichav, it says vayisnu Yisai. The brothers hate him. V'lo yachlu dabu l'shom, they couldn't speak to him. Let's call that hatred number one. Hatred number one from the brothers to Yosef is why? Is because his father loves him, he gave him favoritism, whatever, however you want to learn it up. But he loved him more, and he gave him Ksaras Pasam, and they hated him. Then he tells his brother, I had a dream. Yosef had a dream. He tells his brothers, they hate him even more. Hatred number one, let's say for the coat. Hatred number two, he said, I had a dream. Let's call that hatred number two. Hatred number three. No, guys, listen to the dream. Please listen to the dream that I had. Asher chalomti. We're bundling bushels in the field. My bushel stands up. Yours, all the bushels bow down to mine. And then they say what? They hate him a third time. Al on his dreams and his words. This is the story. There's three hatreds in the story. The first, let's keep track. The first hatred was Yaakov loves him, gives him a coat. Hatred number one. Hatred number two, what was the reason? He said, I had a dream. Hatred number three, he told him the dream. Hatred number three, it's a little more information. Not only did they hate him for his dreams and his words. So I have a couple of ha'aras here. And then Yaakov realizes things aren't so good. He sends Yosef out into the field to go be with the brothers. They see him coming and they want to taunt him. So how do they taunt him? What do they say? He comes the dreamer. See, here's my ha'aras, my kashas. Kasha number one is I understand hatred number one. Jealousy. I understand hatred number three. We're going to bow down to you, your little brother, who do you think you are? Hatred number two is very schwer. All he said was, I had a dream. He didn't tell him the dream yet. Maybe it was a nice dream. There's no toichin of the dream. Doesn't say what the dream was. So why did they hate him, hatred number two? They hated him already for the coat. But why did they hate him more? What new happened? He told them I had a dream and they hated him more. He obviously didn't tell him the dream because that's the third one. He says, Tishma, Shimunach, listen to the dream. So that's question number one. What's hatred number? Question number two is the third hatred, where he says, listen to the dream. Now they hate him for his dreams and his words. What's the dreams and his words? Weren't the words of the dream? He told them over the dream. So you're hating him for the words of the dream. What's the dreams and his words? You hear the question? So the third question is very subtle. He's coming out in the field. They want to make fun of him. I'm sure no one here has ever bullied anybody, but if you want to channel your inner potential bully, what would you have said to Yosef? What would have been the proper taunt? If you were taunting him, what should they have taunted Yosef? He's a little brother, he's telling everyone they're all going to bow down to me. He would say, here comes the king, everybody bow down, Tati's here, Mr. Egomaniac, Megalomaniac, delusions of... The point wasn't that he's the Balachalai, the point is you crazy Balgaiva. Isn't that what the point? It's subtle. But what are they saying he need Balachalai is? So here's my teretz. Change the whole story. You know my teretz? You connect all my dots? Connect the dots? He was working on it? What's the teretz? The teretz is that everyone in the world starts off Balei Chalai. We all start off dreamers. The first people up in any house are the little When you're born, you're on fire. I did a shir once for a seminar, and it was Chassidim, and they were nervous. I'm a literature guy, what am I going to talk about? So they chose my titles for me. So my first shir he gave me was a shir. It was called Kindling Our Children's Licht. That's what they call it. Lighting our children's fire. So I had to mess with them because picking my titles and you don't trust, you know? So I started off the shir. I said, Kindling Our Children. What a terrible title. It's the worst title ever. Who wrote this title? Because I said, it's not our job to kindle our children's licht. Children are born lit. That's what a kid is. A kid is a ball of fire. Total ritzonos, she'ifas, and dreams. A parent's job is to protect your kid from having his dreams extinguished. That's our job, not to light their fire. You have to be shown with your kid. You have to protect your kid to make sure no one extinguishes their flame. That's our job. The first people up in any house are the kids. And the parents have to lock the door in their bedroom saying, just because you're up doesn't mean Mom and Tati has to go to shul and Mommy's going to whatever. Go play in the living room and don't bother, let Mom and Tati sleep for half an hour. But that doesn't, you don't have to worry about it for too long, because by the time the kid's 11, everything's reversed, right? He locks his doors because he wakes him up shachas or school. I'm up, Ta, I heard you, Ta, right? The whole world changes at one point. But in the early stages, when we're kids, we're all dreamers. Everyone's a dreamer. Yosef is the Balach HaLoimos. But Yosef grew up. What fans' dreams is safety and security. Yosef grew up in a house where his father worked 14 years to marry his mother. Do you understand what he saw in his father's eyes and the safety and contentment he saw in his mother's eyes? Yosef's bulletproof. All the trauma of life could fall on Yosef and it doesn't faze him, because he saw his father look at his mother the way you look at your mother when your father worked 14 years to marry her. There's no Ava like Yaakov and Rachel. So Yosef comes out like he's like a dreamer. The brothers grew up with Leah. Leah's a snua. Leah names her children after her tsar. Reuven, Hashem see my pain. Shimon, Hashem will hear my pain. Levi, this time my husband will come to me. All of her children named after her tsar. So the brothers grew up in the real world that the rest of people grew up in. And the rest of people, we get past our dreams. Dreams are childish. We get broken. We go through stuff. I'm not messing with the brothers. For a few minutes you might think I'm messing with the brothers. We can get to them, but first we have to sound like I'm messing with them. Just the fine print, the disclaimer before I say it. But the brothers, Yosef looks, when you're a dreamer and then you get crushed and you lose your dreams, so now you throw yourself into life and you try and put your dreams out of your head. You're dark and loud. You try and escape. But there's no tsar. Yosef walks into the room and he goes, guess what? I had a dream. They hate him. Why? They hate him because he's still dreaming. He just said he's dreaming. We also once dreamt. Everyone's a dreamer. But by the time you're an adult, all those dreams, you learn how to roll your eyes. I'll tell you a very powerful thing. I learned this in Kiev. You know how high school kids and college kids, there are certain words that they say every third word, it makes parents crazy? When I started doing Kiev, you know how old I am, you know what the word was? What was the word in the early 90s? The number one word was, you watch old movies ever? It was the California Valley Girl movie, Tkufa. You know, totally awesome. Like awesome, totally. Anyone my age? Anyone my age who had a TV? Okay, okay, right? Totally awesome. Awesome is awesome with a Svardi Havara. Okay, awesome. That was the word. Everything was awesome. Awesome. No one, I'm getting blank looks. Trust me. Okay, what's the number one word today in any high school or college in America? You know what the word is? Whatever. Whatever. I want you to think about this. There's no bigger gap between two words than the gap between the word awesome and the word whatever. There's no bigger gap. Awesome is the most excited, optimistic word. It's full of joy, it's giddy and giggly, it's on fire. Awesome is a word full of optimism and hope, kivoy, sheifas, ritzoina, dreams. There's no more broken word than the word whatever. It's a long word, but it's much longer than it works. You know what whatever means? Whatever means once upon a time, I had dreams. I thought about them all the time. I lied in my backyard, I stared at the stars, I planned out my life, and then things happened that I don't believe any of those dreams will come true. And now my dreams hurt me because they remind me of the things I always wanted. So I need somehow to get rid of that tsar. I have to come up with a way to tell myself that those dreams aren't important. So I came up with this word, whatever, which allows me to be liberated from the tsar of my own dreams. So everybody starts off dreamers, and then we learn how to say whatever. And then the most painful thing is once you found a new world and you don't think about your dreams, your brother walks in, he goes, I had a dream. And they hate him for dreaming because he's a reminder of dreams. And then he tells them over the dream. And now they hate him al chaloi maisav va'al divarav. What does that mean? They hate him for dreaming, and they hate him for the dreams. We don't like the dream either. Not only do we not like that you're dreaming, you're reminding us of dreams, we don't like the toichen of your dreams. We're going to bow down, but it's two different things. Chaloi maisav and divarav. They hate him for dreaming. And then when he walks out in the field, which tsar is a greater tsar? That someone's reminding you that you had dreams, or someone's telling you you're going to bow down to them? Which hurts more? To be reminded of your own dreams or to bow down to someone? I think we all bow down to people. We have bosses and customers and spouses and parents. Everybody has to bow sometimes. But to face your own dreams, is that when you believe they're not reachable, that's the biggest pain. And it's telling when the brother, when Yosef walks out into the field, the brothers see him. What do they call him? They say, Hine Bala Chalomis. What hurts them is the dreamer. Yosef is the Bala Chalomis. And when they sell him to Mitzrayim, what are the words they use? Ma'iyu chaloi moisav. We'll see what will be with those dreams. The entire Matorah is to destroy those, to get rid of the dreams. Yosef is shleimus. I gave this shir for many, many years. And it always bothered me in the back of my head, like the brothers sound like such Rishonim. Like that's what Russia is. That's why Mitzrayim enslaves the Jews, because they can't bear to see our success. Have to wipe that smile on face. Anti-Semitism is this heritage that you're reminding me of my dreams. I need to silence you. How could the Shvatim be like this? But I said, like what people say, we don't, it's not on that level, it's shiftei ka, it's a whole different darga. I didn't have a malach. But for years I gave this shir, and it was my shir. And this was, and the end of the shir was called Taking the Bones of Yosef with You. And I said that, you know what chayrus is? What's freedom? Freedom is when you leave Mitzrayim, you go free, you have to take the bones in. You have to take back your dreams. Shleimus is to recover your dreams. The Yosef was the Balach Aloimais, and the brothers hated him for dreaming, right? What were our kashas? The first kasha was the second hatred. He said that he didn't even say what the dream was. They hate him for dreaming. The second question was that his dreams and his words, it's two different things. He's a dreamer, and we don't like that bowing down thing. And the third thing was, which is the greater tsar? That we have to bow, that we're being reminded of our dreams. That's the greatest tsar in the world. I came up with this word, whatever. Whatever is my mantra. Don't you dare ruin my whatever. Whatever we live by whatever. Silencing dreams, dark and loud. Therefore, shleimus is to recover your dreams. But what's the problem with this Torah? It's a beautiful Torah. It's a beautiful, beautiful Torah. The Torah is that Yosef HaTzadik is not the Goyal. Mashiach doesn't come from Yosef. This dreamer, this idea of the dreamer and not being broken, and the dreams surviving, and Klal Yisrael says, take the dreams, you have to become dreamers again. Take Yosef. That's what freedom. It's an amazing idea. That going into freedom is taking back Yosef, the Atzmos Yosef means the Atzmius, the essence of Yosef, which is what? Dreaming. So leaving Mitzrayim. By the way, I'll stick in this. This is such an important Yisrael. I say it every year in Pesach. Shavuos is the end of Pesach. So, why did they sell him to Mitzrayim? You want to get rid of someone's dreams. How is selling someone to Mitzrayim the cure for dreamer? Because Mitzrayim, Eretz Yisrael, we'll figure out what Mitzrayim is by how it defines Eretz Yisrael. The Torah describes Eretz Yisrael, the land that I'm sending you to, I'm giving to you, is not like Eretz Mitzrayim. Asher shkisa b'ragelcha gam hayerek. That you water in Mitzrayim your crops like a garden. Eretz Yisrael is a land of hills and valleys. You need rain from Shemayim. Me'reisha shana achashana. Your eyes have to be looking up to Hashem. What the Torah describes Eretz Yisrael is a fascinating description. The land I'm giving you, Eretz Yisrael, is not like Mitzrayim. Mitzrayim has a Ya'ar. It has a Nile. And the Mitzrayim, they plant in the Nile Valley. And you dig irrigation canals, and all the water from the Nile goes into your field, and everyone's great. You're covered. It's amazing. And that's how you plant the Nile Valley. And they get a bountiful crop from the Yar. The Torah is saying Eretz Yisrael, the definition of Eretz Yisrael is you don't have a Yar. There's no source of water. You need rain. That's the definition. What's that definition? How do you explain that? What it is there's nothing harder than being a farmer. Farming is the hardest job in the world. Not because it's hard work. It happens to be hard work too. You can buy machines, you can hire workers. The hard part about farming is that you invest yourself an entire year and you don't control all the variables. If it doesn't rain, you're stuck. It's so vulnerable to put all your koichs in that you may never see bracha. Most people can only invest themselves when all their ducks are in a row. If it's FDIC insured, if it's guaranteed, if it's safety. To take risks is that kind of risk. Not a little side, some extra money. This is my life. I'm a farmer. If it doesn't rain, you're stuck. The most vulnerable thing is rain. You have to, Mamish has such trust. You have to go to sleep at night worried. This is why it says that Zurayim is Emuna Sitecha. Emuna is farming. Farming is Emuna. That's Emuna. The biggest Maiminim is a farmer because you have to be vulnerable. So most people can't do that. Most people, you know what they do with their lives? They just invest themselves in things that are guaranteed. Ducks are in a row, everything's good, all the I's are down, T's are crossed, okay, now I'm in. You know what that's called in the Torah? That's called planting around the Yar. Mitzrayim plants around the Yar. Planting around the Nile. That's guaranteed. Eretz Yisrael doesn't have a Nile, you need rain. The definition of Eretz Yisrael is that you have to dream, you have to be vulnerable. It's the same word with Aravos. Aravos, every negative chazal is said by Aravos. No tam, no reach. You know why? Because Aravos, what do they call in the Torah? Arvei nachal, willows of the brooks. It's the same thing. What Mitzrayim is to geography, Aravos are to botany. It grows by the stream, gets water from the stream, doesn't need rain. You know what happens when you live a life where everything's guaranteed and there's no risk and no worry? You have no tam and no reach. Personality and character comes from being vulnerable and yearning and dreaming and worrying and davening. Hashem, please, this is when you become a human being. This is when you become deep. If you give everything guaranteed, you have no dreams. Aravos have no tam, no reach. And Mitzrayim, the same thing. They just live off the Yar. Pare has a dream. There's no one in the entire country who can be Poiser Chalamaisav. It's a country that doesn't know from dreams. It's a country without dreams. They don't dream in Mitzrayim. They don't take risks. A dream is to yearn for something that's not here. They just take what's around the Yar. So if you have Yosef and you're the brothers and you want to wipe that smile off the dreamer, how do you crush a dreamer? You send them to Mitzrayim. They have no capacity for dreaming. You think we can deal with Yosef dreaming? Mitzrayim is a whole country that only takes safe things. They're going to crush him. They have no idea what really happens. Yosef is so powerful. The dreamer is so powerful that instead of the Mitzrayim crushing him, what does he do? Everyone who comes in Mitzrayim within Daled Amos of Yosef starts dreaming. First Potiphar's wife. She can't take no for an answer. Mitzrayim plays it safe. They don't yearn for things that are out of reach. He's obviously out of reach. She doesn't stop. Then they put him in jail and the Sarah Mashkim starts dreaming. And the Sarah Oivenza. Then Paro himself starts dreaming. Yosef, when you have big eyes, the eyes of a dreamer, when you grow up in a house and your father looked at your mother like Yosef, like Yaakov looked at Rachel, those children are such dreamers, everyone feeds off their confidence. And this was my shir, my go-to shir for years. This is what I said. And my shir was, you have to learn how to look at your life with those eyes. You make kids who are bulletproof. The greatest thing a father can do for his kids is to look at their mother like Yaakov looked at Rachel. And then the kids will be bulletproof and they'll dream forever. Then here's the whiplash. So how do you explain the brothers? So why are the brothers so evil? It sounds like they're going to wipe that smile off his face. They sound like Mitzrayim. They sound like Pari. What's the teretz? You feel the kasha? Right? So the teretz like this. Here's the shortest version of saying the teretz. It's late. The shortest is like this. Is when Adam and Chava eat from the Eitz Hadas, so Hashem says, now Chas v'Shalom, they're going to go pen yoichel. Maybe they're also going to go eat from the Eitz HaChaim now. That would be a disaster. So because he's worried they're going to eat Leitzachayim, Hashem puts two things to lishmar derech Leitzachayim, to make sure they can't eat Leitzachayim, to guard the path. The kruvin and the lahat hacher v'mishapeches. It's a pasuk in Bereshit. He puts the cherubs, the kruvin, and the fiery spinning sword. So that's the trippy thing, but I'm not talking about that. It's a different share. I'm going to talk about the kruvin. He puts two things to make sure they don't eat Leitzachayim. The kruvin. What does Rashi say there by the kruvin? He puts kruvin to guard the least. What's the least effective thing to guard something? The kruvin sound like the weakest thing in the whole Torah. Like they're like even the Galatian version. They have what is at the end of his arrow? It's like this rubber. It's not a real arrow. Whatever. So but the kruvim represent. What do they represent? The kruvim. They're adam and chava koydem achet. They're arumim v'loyish b'shashu. They're pure innocence. They're dreamers. They're like innocent kids who have never had a trauma in their lives. They're guarding. So Rashi bavans the question. He goes, no, kruvim are malachei chavala. They're angels of destruction. This makes it more hard. In what world are the kruvim angels of destruction? Kruvim are literally the opposite. They represent total tara, innocence, purity. Right? Is that what kruvim, you visualize kruvim? So what's the answer? So some people say it must be different kruvim. Obviously not our kruvim. Kasha is so stark that it must be this good kruvim and bad kruvim.
But the Arvin, it says ba'isam ritzayne shel makan, right? They turn towards.
They turned away. Okay, that's good. That's my next step. So it's hard to say that there's two kruvim. Why? Because on the Araim, which is also called Eitz Chayim Hilamachazikim Ba, the kruvim are soich in the kamtei, the kruvim are protecting the Araim. And the Eitz Chayim, the Arayin has kruvim guarding it, and the Eitz Chayim again has kruvim guarding it. So they're probably the same kruvim, they're guarding the Eitz Chayim. Right? So you're saying an amazing teretz, which is going to be related to my teretz. You're saying that kruvim have two sides. When you're doing good, they become monsters when you do the wrong thing. That doesn't sound that. The pasuk, it's a big distance between Malach and Kabbalah.
You'll say it a lot better than I do.
What?
I'm sure you'll say it a lot better
than I do.
No,
my teretz is different. You know what teretz is? What did the brothers feel? You all heard my shir. Made you happy to share? How many people look at their wives like Yaakov and Rachel? I'm telling you, you know what the secret for your kids is? The secret for your kids is you could look at your wives like Yaakov looked at Rachel, your kids will be bulletproof. If you can raise your kids in a perfect cocoon where they're going to be dreamers, but who are we fooling? How many Yaakov and Rachels are there? Yaakov and Rachel is the greatest love story in the Torah. We're the Shvatim. We're the B'nai Leah. We've been traumatized and dramatized, and we've been through tsar. Most people, we're not Yosef. So talking about Yosef it should really just be causing us tsar. If you could like the image of taking the bones of Yosef, that means that Torah is disconnected. Covering dreams. But if I realize a shir like this, I realize that all the years I was saying the shir, I was a mazik. I was causing people pain. Because I'm Yosef walking in the room and saying, I had a dream. You understand? Yosef is so innocent. You know how innocent Yosef had to be to walk into the room with these Tzibrachim brothers who heard their mother crying every night when they were going to sleep. Right? Chazal says she was a crier. She cried. Right? Maybe not after she married Yaakov, but it sounds like she still cried after Yaakov. She named her kids after her tsar. And Yosef walks into the room and goes, guess what, guys? I had a dream. He's living in such a world that his world is so tar, he's not going to cause him tsar, he doesn't even realize that it hurts. His world is so perfect. That's Yosef. But that's not our world. Kruvim are the Malachei Chavala. You know why Kruvim are the Malachei Chavala? Because that image of holiness, the Kruvim, these perfect, innocent, Adam Arishaim, Arumim, Veloyish Baishashu, innocent perfection, that image, if you think of holiness and your picture is Kruvim, that's the Malachei Chavala. That's what destroys everyone who's destroyed, anyone who's ever miyayish, anyone who ever gave up. It's only because their picture of Ruchnius is Kruvim. And I'm damaged. I'm not a Kruv. If your picture of Kruvim, if your picture of Ruchnius is Kruvim, then you will be destroyed. Because Ein Adam Ba'aretz Asher Yaser Toiv V'lo Yechta. It doesn't exist. So we're all doomed. There is such a thing as Kruvim, by the way. I'm not saying there's no Kruvim. But where did the Kruvim belong? In the Kodesh Kedoshim, behind the Paroiches, and nobody can go in. Only the Kohen Gadol on Yom Kippur, and even him, it's Shchiach Hezekah. He has to go in and see the Kruvim only obscured by the cloud of the Ketores, the Anan HaKetores, the Chisa Anan HaKetores is coming. The Kruvim are so dangerous. This picture of Ruchnius, that I am supposed to be Kaddish, V'tar, and innocent and perfect, that picture of holiness is the most dangerous thing in the world, because it doesn't exist. Yosef is amazing, but Yosef is not the leader of Klal Yisrael. When Yosef walks in, he says, I had a dream. The brothers aren't jealous. They're not crushing him because they hate him, because they're jealous. They're saying, Yosef, you're a bar b'shus harabim, walking around, prancing around in your perfect little bubble with your father and your pictures of your family pictures, and everyone's smiling, and there's no fights, you never heard crying, you never saw trauma, all of that. You are going to destroy everyone in the world because no one's living your life. The Balach Haloimais, you're going to ruin the world. The dreamer is the most dangerous thing in the world because you're going to crush people. You're going to suck the whole neshama out of everybody looking at it. You're the Kruvim. You're the Malach Havola. The brothers aren't Tzalias because they're jealous. The brothers are Tzalias because they're concerned with Yishavayim. Our purpose is to make the world perfect. And the most dangerous thing in the world is this image that I have to be a shalim, perfect, innocent. Because that ship sailed for everybody in the world. The leader of Klal Yisrael is David, is Yehuda. Yehuda's the head leadership. Oida HaPamas Hashem, Hoida, Tshuva, admission. David HaMelech is Mashiach. Mashiach doesn't come from the perfect luchos. The luchos, the broken luchos are our avodah. Yosef represents the perfect whole luchos. But we live in a world of broken luchos. And the broken luchos will put in the aron side by side with the whole luchos. And the two luchos in the aron is Yosef and Yehuda sitting together in the aron. And that's the world. But we have to understand that this avodah, it's not b'di'evet. You might think we're supposed to be dreamers, but when I lost my dreams, now there's another way to do it. No, it's so much more dramatic. You have to understand the power of the person who was crushed. How can I show it to you best? How do I show it to you? You hear this? Because I'm officially, I wanted to end on time. So what time do we start? Okay, that was not.
Rabbi, here's my Kriyash Mashal Shach.
I'll go as long. I'll go because there's so much to say. Let me show you the most amazing thing. Because this is really, this is the whiplash. You understand the whiplash? It's not just whiplash. My life, for 25 years, I gave drushes about being the dreamer. Dreamer. And I loved it. Like, the first year's an amazing shit, right? I say so myself. The problem is it crushes people. When you walk away, everyone walked out of shir probably thought, wow, everyone loved that shir. I'm the only guy who's broken. But every guy left the shir with the same feeling. Wow, everybody loved it. I'm the only guy who didn't talk to. Made me feel sad. That's what the brothers are saying to Yosef. Your dreams are dangerous. Your dream, it's a myth. If you could be a dreamer, first of all, I'm saying, I'm not knocking the back with it, I'm telling you why the broken luchais are in the aron, but the whole luchais are also in the aron. If you could pull off raising kids who are dreamers, sign up for that. You look at Yosef. It's not like Yosef doesn't have trauma. Nobody has more trauma than Yosef, but it never makes a dent. He's Teflon. Everywhere he goes, he doesn't even chop that something bad happened. He's in Potiphara's house. 5 minutes later, he's running the whole house, and then he goes to jail. 5 minutes later, he runs the whole jail. Wherever he is, he's like those cartoons where everything's falling and everything misses. He doesn't even, everything misses him. Whatever. It's like, it's amazing. If you can raise Balei Chaloimos, it's amazing. But the Torah is written for real people. And real people we come from the Shvatim. We come, Yehud is our leader. David HaMelech is born on Mashiach. His Mashiach is born in Shavuos. David HaMelech, you know where you see it? There's a Melech from the children of Rachel and a Melech from the children of Leah. The Melech from the children of Rachel is Shaul. He grew up even a more perfect life than Yosef. Binyamin, you can imagine how Yaakov took care of Binyamin. He's all he had from his wife. Binyamin is like never did Navera. That's why Binyamin, he's one of the people who never did Navera. Because you only do Navera when you're a dreamer. Shaul is described in the Torah as head and shoulders taller than anyone. He's the image of presidential, regal, malchus. David is Admoni, a little short kid with red hair and freckles. He's the big Leah. You know, but David marries Shaul's daughter. So you have this magical king, powerful, dignified, and David with his little slingshot and a harp. But David, and then where do you see the conflict? When David is dancing, they're bringing the Aron Kodesh to Yerushalayim, and David is macharker mefaz face. He's dancing crazy wild in front of the Aron. And Michal looks out of the window, and when Michal sees him, and she goes, "Today you showed him to my father and you humiliated yourself and us. You exposed yourself in front of every maidservant. Like, what did you? My father was a model of dignity, and you're like, look what you did." And David says, maybe after this year, the most powerful words in all of Tanakh. You know what he says? Right? So Shaul is the dance of Yosef. Ani Yosef. Perfection. No averes. Just dreams. No doubts. No insecurities. What an amazing way to live. And there's a king like that. And David comes from Yehuda and averes and broken. And, well, what does he say?
He has Yosef's DNA through Binyamin.
Who?
Shaul HaMelech.
Shaul, yeah, no, I'm saying that's why I said no, not Yosef. It's the point wasn't so much Yosef, the point is the Bnei Rachel. He's Binyamin. Shaul is the Bnei Rachel, the perfect girl, the perfect Abba, the Ahuva. And David comes from the Snua, right? The Vidyevet. What does David say to Shaul? To Michal? Michal calls him out and goes, "What are you doing? Like, you're humiliating yourself." He says, "Unekaloisi oid mizos." I will yet make myself lower. You ain't seen nothing yet. I'm just getting started. That's what he says. Fire. He says, I will debase myself more. Let me tell you this. This is a good way to bring this all together. Kiddush Levana. You did Kiddush Levana yet? You can do it now. Whatever. Kiddush Levana. We do this weird dance by Kiddush Levana. We bounce on our heels. Why do we bounce on our heels in Kiddush Levana? So we don't do it. It's a weird thing to do. Why do we do it? Because if you dance normal, when you say roike, you bend your knee, it looks like you're bowing down to the moon. So we don't want to look like Avodah Zarah, so we bounce on our heels so you don't bend your knee, it doesn't look like you're bowing. It's a nice shot. Nice. What's the kasha? I have a weird kasha. My weird kasha is when you have a suffix of a big avera, so we don't go shofar, we don't carry a big lulav on Shabbos because my carry. You know, those are big things, shofar and lulav. How come dancing by Kiddush Levana is so important that even though it might look like we're going to figure a weird workaround, we're going to make you do this weird little dance because you have to dance by Kiddush Levana. Right? Why is it so important to dance that we're going to do a workaround that's so weird? I'm ending with this. What's the answer? It bothers you a little bit? It's a weird kasha, but it's a good, the teretz is better than the kasha. Why do we dance like this by Kiddush Levana? Because the Kiddush Levana is meant to be in the Chama. We're consoling the moon for that it was struck. The moon was the first trauma in history. The first thing that got a patch. Kodesh Baruch Hu shrunk the moon. He used Shnei Moirus HaGdolim, and then the Hashem shrunk the moon. So we go out to the moon. We're menachem the Levana. You know what the nechama of the Levana is? How you menachem the Levana? So when I was in yeshiva, I don't know if it was still like this in York Long Beach, so we used to give our shirts into the Chinese cleaners. That was yeshiva, it was a pride to have your starch shirt. And remember the starch shirt days? And if you if you paid your $1.50 or whatever, you got it, then it's 95 cents or whatever, but you got your shirt done, well, the pocket got starched shut. Remember that? The pocket was and every yeshiva had that one sick guy who would put his hand in your pocket and like ruin the pocket. You know that guy? Yeah, okay. Those who don't know, it was a thing. You remember it, right? You know what I'm talking about? Okay. But you know what happened when the guy ruined your starched shirt? What happened? He ruined your shirt. You lost your whole bounce. But now you can play basketball by recess because the shirt was already ruined. It liberated you from your whole starchedness. That's what it does. It freed you from the stiff, regal. The Miyat HaLavana, when Hashem shrunk the Lavana, you know what it created? When Hashem broke the pocket of the starch, you know where dancing comes from? Dancing is the Nechama of the Miyat HaLavana. That perfect guy who never did anything wrong, he can't dance. He's like a stiff guy. You know what? Nobody goes to watch soul dancing. It's like little perfect moves, but there's no soul, you know? When you're broken, you can break it down and you can let go and it frees you and you live David HaMelech. No one suffered more than David. And the result of that is Macharker and Mefazfes. He has zero starch left. And he's totally free and on fire. That's the David HaMelech. The Nechama of the Levana is, the Levana was broken. But you know how you console the moon is? We're going to dance. Because dancing is a creation that only exists from the Miyat HaLavana. You have to dance by Kiddush Levana. Because that's the upside of trauma. Is that you think that you were perfect before? No, beforehand you were starched, stiff, and artificial. And now you're real. You can break it down. Every guy dancing in the middle by a chuppah, he went through something. All the people who didn't go through something, they can't dance. They're on the periphery and they're being nice and they're holding hands and they're the guys who, they force you to put their hand behind your back when they're dancing, you know that guy? And you try to hold hands and dance, you go, no, like those guys. Those guys, their parents got along, But, what? So this is the story. The Nechama of the Levana is Rika. David HaMelech, and these are, to break it down, this is the broken luchos. The broken luchos, there's no fire like the broken luchos. This is the punchline of the shiras. Yes, Yosef's a bigger dreamer, but who lives like a bigger dreamer? The fire, the beauty of dreaming is fire. The fire of dreamers. Yosef is a dreamer, but the real fire is not the dreamer. The real fire are the people who went through tsar. Dramas and traumas and all these. That's David. You're not smaller because of what you went through. You're freer and fierier and bigger. Torah is all about knowledge. The Eitz HaChayim is not called Das HaChayim. Only the Eitz Toivara is called Das Toivara. Das, knowledge, deep Havana only exists in the broken luchos. In the world of perfection, before Avera, before Tsar, before trauma, is a stiffness and an artificialness, a purity that I'm not knocking a back with. You can raise children with that. Go all in. But the real luchos are the broken luchos. Yasha koyach sheshibanta is this Klal Yisrael coming now to Shavuos, and Torah is not a textbook. That's the beauty. Torah is a dance. You go to Shavuos with a fire, and you be mecharker and mefazfes in Torah. You know how that looks? You could try and say a crazy chiddush. Don't protect yourself. So the Rav will say it doesn't make sense. It's not so good. Well, go for it. Try. You keep on trying. You keep on living large. You keep on trying to. There's nothing too big. Jump into the deep end of the pool sometimes. Torah, this is the Shavuos is the simcha of Shavuos, is the simcha, the shleimus of brokenness. That's why it's David HaMelech. That's David. And so I started the shir, probably whiplash. I started the shir with dreams. We said the 10, it's not just 10 words of desire, there are 25 words of desire. Dreaming and desire is the holiest thing in the world. And then we said that Yosef's the dreamer because he grew up in this perfect life. Then we showed that the brothers completely didn't like it because Yosef's version of dreaming is this innocent dreaming of this perfect little kid. And that doesn't exist. And the brothers said the Yosef Amazik is like the Kruvim. The Kruvim are so dangerous because they break the heart of people who did Averos. It crushes you, the Kruvim. So sad, not perfect.
That's why David danced out from the arm.
That's why Dov danced. So
From the
in front of the Aron. Dov danced in front of the Aron. The Aron is where you dance. The broken luchas. To break it down in front of the broken luchas. That's the avodah. To live all in, which is the trippingest thing. The dreamer we started off, the dreamer was the one who's all in. And then he is the one who's all in, except for the one who's all in with a capital A and a capital L. And that's the person who lost his dreams. When the dreams get crushed, now you're really all in. Now you can, when you recover, not that you don't dream anymore, but the dreaming that comes after trauma, after tsar, those are good dreams. And that's the dreams of Shavuos, the second luchos. We were all zeicha, probably at this point, we were all zeicha to the tsar. So now we should be zeicha. We met the prerequisite criteria to dancing. That you went through. So now you have to reframe it to know it didn't break you. It freed you. And now you can do the dance that Yosef's dance wasn't good enough. This is the real dance.
You bring an interesting uptight, but Makim Shaval Tshuva Ein Tzaddik Gamar Yachal Lama Yvai.
But the Gemara says both sides.
You never went through those challenges.
Yeah, the Gemara says, again, it's important to qualify in the end that both luchos are the other. The perfect world is Yosef and Yehuda together. The Tzaddik Gamar and the Baal Tshuva. You know? This is a talk for real people. But you know, I live in Lakewood. We have Kanai Nahar, we have many Yosefs there. We have people who never did anything wrong in their lives. Kaddish Nibeten. That's also an honor. It's an amazing life. And I want you to know both Yehuda and Yosef do better in that shutfus. That shutfus fits both of us. That partnership.
Rabbi,
Good.
why is there like an idea? Yosef is the yid that goes into Golos.
He doesn't need my answer.
Right? Yosef and Tzaddik go is 1 second to Mitzrayim.